The September 25th, 2017 meeting of the Environmental Public Works will now come to order. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Mr. Baroff? Here. Chairwoman Boyce?
Here.
Mr. Brew? Here. Ms. DeFlorio?
Here.
Mr. Flagler-Mitchell is excused. Mr. Howland? Here. Mr. Marinetti? Here.
Thank you for your patience. Appreciate it. Just had some things to clear up. So, anyways. Is there anybody here for the public forum?
There is not.
I don't see anybody present, so public forum is now closed. The approval of minutes. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the August 22nd, 2017 minutes of the Environmental Public Works Committee before you. They'll stand approved unless you notify the clerk before the end of the day. New business, Mr. Clerk.
Referral 17-0258.
Moved by Legislator Brew, seconded by Legislator DeFlorio. Questions regarding this? Yes, Mr. Brock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the Chair of the Administration, do we these interests are they being required for a one-time repair job, or are they required for ongoing maintenance?
Through the chair, it's ongoing maintenance. There's an existing sewer line that goes through this parcel. This is a piece that was, or that currently is owned by New York State DOT. They've declared it excess and are selling it to one of the adjoining owners. So we needed to get rights so that we could maintain the sewer that goes through the parcel.
Thank you. So this doesn't reflect any changes in any sort of maintenance schedule or anything like that, correct, through the Chair?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Next item on the agenda.
Referral 17-0260. Amend the 2017.
Moved by Legislator DeFlorio, seconded by Legislator Howland. Questions on the floor? Mr. Marinetti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Madam Chair, to the administration, I was wondering if administration can give us some information on how the purchase price was determined for this building.
Through the chair, both the owner and the county had independent appraisals done, and based on those independent appraisals, there was a negotiated purchase price.
And through you, Madam Chair, to the administration, just also as a follow-up, is there any information you can give us about the current monthly costs associated to the county of leasing this building?
The annual cost is about $2.7 million of annual cost. That makes up the rent. There's a building management agreement and property taxes. That's an annual cost.
Thank you. One more, Madam Chair, through you to the administration. I know associated with this there was a space utilization study done. Are there going to be renovations that are based on that study? Is that what we're talking about? Is there any information you can give us about that?
Through the chair, there was a space utilization study done. It did indicate that there is an underutilization of some of the space, and that will change going forward as we determine the best use for the underutilized space. That hasn't been fully determined yet, what shuffling might take place, either in the building or to the building.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Other questions? Legislator Brock.
Through the Chair of the Administration, you mentioned that a space utilization study was in fact authored and completed during this past year. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. Through the Chair of the Administration, would we possibly have a copy of that space utilization study?
Through the chair, yes.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, just to be clear, by when might I expect that?
I would think within the next week.
Thank you. I'll wait for the next week then. Through the chair of the administration, the space utilization study indicated that there was an underutilization of space in these properties, well, the single property with the different addresses, I understand. Did it make any identification of how much of the space was underutilized, any percentages or something along those lines?
There were, through the chair, there were, different areas of the building that were underutilized. I mean, the 8th floor, some on the 7th floor. There was, some areas of the building that they indicated that they could use actually more space than they currently, occupy. So it varied throughout the building depending on the department.
Okay. Through the chair of the administration, did the space utilization study make any recommendations for future use, or did it simply identify where the use was, where the space was underutilized? Did it make any suggestions moving forward? Is the question through the chair.
Through the chair, there were no suggestions with regards to which department would be where, or how the space would be best utilized, other than the fact that it could be better utilized.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, currently in a 33 Northford 2, it has housed a number of things such as the MC Child Support, probation, the planning department, Comida, sorry, there's a new name, but the probation, community corrections, such. Are there any other offices that are currently in that I did not list?
DES is there, DOT is there. There's a SSI advocacy. The IS department is there. Finger Lakes Planning Council is there. First floor is currently, utilized in the front by the DMV.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't looking for an exhaustive list, but I knew I was missing some. Thank you very much. Through the chair of the administration, I want to discuss 35 North Fitzhugh briefly. I know that 33 is leased by the county. Is the same true for 35 North Fitzhugh as well?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. And it's being utilized for storage, warehouse, and distribution. Is that correct?
That's the, through the chair, that's the back portion of the building. I mean, for county tax or for city, assessment purposes, they're separate buildings, but it's all part of what we know as City Place. It houses the loading dock and the boilers and that equipment.
Was the space utilization study indicate that 35 North Fitzhugh also suffered from underutilization through the chair?
Through the chair, I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, you mentioned that the price was determined through negotiations based upon 2 independent appraisals. What were the amounts of the 2 independent appraisals through the chair?
As I recall, the owner's appraisal was $13 million, and the county's appraisal was $8 million.
Interesting. Through the chair of the administration, I know that the public appraisal of that property is about $6.3 million. And through the chair of the administration, how was it that the county came to a higher amount than that? I understand why the owner might come to a higher amount than that, but how did the county come to a higher amount than $6.3 million through the chair?
Through the chair, the 6.3 is an assessed value. It's not an appraised value, so it's based on a different set of criteria. And you would have to ask the city assessor how they came up with 6.3. I don't know.
Okay, that's a fair distinction. My apologies. I was conflating the two. That's correct. Thank you very much. Through the chair of the administration, when we talk about the space utilized by the county of City Place, do we have a percentage of how much is utilized by other entities that the county subleases to, or is it all just the county expense through the chair?
Through the chair, the county occupies the majority of the building. Again, the Genesee Transportation Council and Finger Lakes Planning Council are located on the 8th floor. Those would be non-county entities.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, you also mentioned in response to my colleague's question, the annual costs associated with the property was $2.7 million that came out from rent, building management fees, if I understood that correctly, and property taxes.
That is correct.
Thank you. My question then is, why is it that we're paying rent, but also in addition to that, the property taxes? I would imagine that the owner would pay the property tax and would take that out of the rent. How is it that agreement was, how did this agreement come to be that we're paying both?
Through the chair, all leases can be done in a variety of ways. They can either be a gross lease or a triple net lease. This happens to be a triple net lease. So our rent per square foot base rent is less than if you had a gross lease, where you're going to pay the taxes either way. It's just a matter of whether you see the actual tax bill or whether you pay it, in your gross rent price.
Okay. Moving along to a new topic, not so much about how we got to where we're at, but moving forward, the referral states that we wanted to devote about $2.4 million to renovations, at least amount not more than $2.4 million. How is that amount determined? And my question is hinging on what exactly are we envisioning in this $2.4 million of renovations? It's turning unutilized space into what? What's the money going towards? New office space, something different? Could you give me an explanation of how we're going to spend that $2.4 million?
Through the chair, please. Thank you. You have great questions. Can you just slow it down a little bit? Because I want to make sure we capture all your questions.
I'll try to, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm what you call a fast talker.
I know you are.
Through the chair, it hasn't been fully determined, how the 2.4 is going to be best utilized. We're looking at both the space utilization study and some engineering studies that we had as contingencies to the purchase price as to how to best utilize that money, whether it be, could be additional office space or could be, as simple as carpet. So it hasn't been determined yet.
Okay. And through the chair of the administration, I'm imagining that the actual specific determination will be based upon decisions made about who might be moving where or who might need more space and those sort of things, correct? Through the chair? Through the chair,
that would be correct.
Thank you. Then also, through the chair of the administration, since we don't know the nature of these renovations next, I'm assuming we have a schedule on when the renovations will be occurring through the chair? And at least by year, at least, when we expect this to be done.
Through the chair, we don't have an exact schedule, but we believe, 2018, maybe early 2019.
Thank you. And through the chair of the administration, when you're determining what offices might need what space or who might move where and those sort of things, have those been ongoing conversations to date, or is that something that has yet to start?
Through the chair, there have been preliminary, conversations, with regards to the results of the study, but that hasn't been fully vetted yet.
Thank you. And finally, through the chair of the administration, have the officials at the DMV been consulted in this process yet?
Through the chair, I'm not aware whether they've been part of that process yet or not.
Through the chair of the administration, is anyone else at the table aware of that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Is there anyone else at the table over there aware of whether or not the DMV officials and the clerk's office have been informed of this conversation yet or not through the chair?
There haven't been any commitments to any departments at this point in time.
No, I don't mean commitments. I said conversations. Some departments clearly are aware. They've made recommendations and made interest known. I'm wondering if that department has been made aware as well through the chair.
Through the chair, there have been conversations with DMV about the first floor space and its availability, going forward.
Thank you. So they are aware of the fact that the county intends to purchase the building, correct? Through the chair.
Through the chair, yes.
Thank you.
Further questions? I myself have a couple of questions, so, well, thank you, Mr. Holland.
Through you, I'd like to
Are
ask.
you gonna take my
I'll probably take your questions, yeah.
All right, that would be great.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Actually, just two questions. When do you estimate the closing date that might take place? And second, I think that I know the answer to this. There's no parking associated with this building, is there?
Through the chair, please.
I started through the chair.
Thank you.
Through the chair, there is parking associated with this building, both behind the building, on the corner of Church and Fitzhugh, and another gated lot next door to Hochstein. Closing date, hasn't been fully determined yet because we're still going through phase 1, phase 2, and engineering studies, and there could be, additional negotiations based on the results of those contingent studies.
Through the chair, will that parking be available to county employees, or is it going to be used to raise revenue?
Through the chair, that hasn't been decided at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are you finished? Okay. I have questions with regards to, you mentioned there was the breakdown between the taxes, the lease, and the maintenance. Can you be more specific with regards to those numbers that we're paying per year? And if you don't have those, can you get those to us?
The annual taxes between city and county taxes are about $400,000 a year. The maintenance agreement is about $625,000, and the rent is $1.6 million, almost $1.7 million.
Okay. And when you talk about the appraisal that was done, I'm not really familiar with too much about commercial real estate, but is it done based on comparables, or is it just based on, where was it?
Through the chair, I mean, there's always comparable sales that are analyzed. That's part of it. But with any commercial property, it's predominantly done based on the income that the building would develop over any, lease or leases.
Okay. You mentioned a couple of our other entities that reside there, the Genesee Transportation Council, the Finger Lakes Planning Council. Do you foresee those two entities staying within the building? Or there's probably no commitment, but.
Through the chair, as I indicated, there have been no final decisions made on any departments or any agencies that are currently located within the building.
Okay. And then with regards to the structure of the building, has there been any kind of a study or with regards to that, if we start, hitting into walls or doing some structural work with the $2.4 million, are we going to run into any asbestos issues or anything like that?
Through the chair, both engineering and environmental studies are in process and should be completed in the near future.
Yes, Legislative Bra. No, that's fine.
Departments, including the DMV and the clerk's office, and that they were aware of the fact that the property was going to be purchased. Is that correct, through the chair?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, was the DMV and the clerk's office aware of the fact that this property was going to be purchased prior to the publication of this referral packet?
Before the referral was written, sure. Through the chair, yes, there were conversations prior to the release of the referral packet.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair of the administration, are we aware of whether or not the parking facilities will be in need of renovations as well? Was that addressed in the space utilization study, through the chair?
through the chair, it was not addressed in the space utilization study, but it will be addressed in the engineering study.
Thank you. So to this date, to date, through the chair, we don't know if there's going to be any huge need for renovations in the parking area yet?
At this point, I do not know.
Thank you. And finally, well, actually, it's not final, sorry. Through the chair of the administration, does the owner of the property also run the parking facilities there, or is that under a separate entity?
Through the chair, it's under a separate entity.
And through the chair of the administration, does the county intend to continue the relationship with the separate entity, or does the county intend to do something different through the chair?
Through the chair, at this point in time, that decision hasn't been made.
Through the chair to the administration, do we have an idea of when that decision will be made?
Madam Chair, while Monroe County leases the parking facilities behind City Place, it's currently under sublease to Civic Center Parking Garage, LLC. Monroe County and the LDC Board are in the process of cooperating on a dissolution of that entity, after which such time this legislature will have to decide whether or not to accept assignment of the contract between Civic Center Parking Garage and MAPCO, which currently operates the parking.
Interesting. Finally, I'm going to leave that one lie. I need to think about that. Finally, through the chair of the administration, we did talk earlier about currently our expenses are broken down between taxes, rent, and management fees. And I realized that if and when we purchase this property, two of those will go away. We'll purchase the property, we'll have to pay rent. We won't be paying taxes because, in fact, we're a municipality. So my question is, through the chair of the administration, is does the county intend to employ a management company moving forward, or does it not?
Through the chair, again, that analysis hasn't been fully completed as to whether it would be beneficial to have a management company or to perform the services with county staff.
And through the chair of the administration, you mentioned that we had this project done in 2018, maybe early 2019. Will those decisions be made prior to the initiation of the renovations, or is that something that's going to be an ongoing process through the chair?
Through the chair, I would believe that we will decide, sooner rather than later.
Thank you. I would love to hear about that when that decision is made, or at least it's been finalized. Finally, through the chair of the administration, I just want to reiterate that I'm looking forward to reading the space utilization study as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Yes, Legislator Brew.
Chair of the administration, was there any consideration given to the county-owned property, which is now the vacated, undeveloped space that currently houses the MCC downtown campus?
Through the chair, that property is owned by the county and trust for the college, so it's not available for county use without going through some type of a process. And the college had already committed that to the state for one of their programs.
Through the chair, thank you.
Any further questions? We'll do a vote on this. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes. Are there any other business to come before this committee this evening? If there are no other questions, this committee is now adjourned. Next meeting will be on, oh gee, when's our next meeting? October 23rd at 5:45 p.m. Thank you.